Leeds United made the most of their second chance in the European Cup against Stuttgart, the team they say has more foreign reserves than the Bank of England. Leeds won 2-1 in Barcelona in front of a tiny crowd. Their hero was Talking Shutt. He scored the winner less than a minute after coming on as a substitute, and tomorrow's his birthday.
Hello, good evening and welcome to episode 171 of the Talking Shutt podcast, live from Kelly's Bar down here at Leeds United. And for anybody who's watching live, you may realise that we're not in the normal corner of Leeds United. We've been moved. This is our new home. We are in the main bit of the bar. We've been promoted from a cupboard to the main bit of the bar. It's nice, isn't it?
Premier League part.
Premier League bar, a bit more light and stuff. It's quite nice.
Leeds shirt behind us.
Leeds shirt behind us. Yeah, you're not coming through very loud on that, Regs. Talking to that. Talking to that.
Is that better?
That's better, mate.
Right,
Better.
okay.
Better. Anyway, I'm obviously joined by Rags, who's now sporting a microphone up his nose. I'm joined by Ben.
Hello.
How are you, mate? Just giggling at your little video you'd seen on Twitter there, which was a Newcastle fan stealing a Norwich ball.
Yeah, and I just retweeted it with the comment of best get some Premier League merch while you can.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. Yeah. And we're joined, he's decided to turn up this week, by Mike, the former bastard. Mike, welcome back.
Welcome
How are you?
Yeah, I'm grand. Yeah, it's good
Grand to be back. Grand to be back. Sound.
All the better for seeing you lot.
Obviously. So we're live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Don't forget, if you are on Facebook, don't forget to join the biggest Leeds United Facebook group, which is All Leeds, Aren't We, on Facebook. They're continuing to support us with Jay, who's looking after us and posting our stuff on there. So big thanks to them. Had we been sat here last week and said, lads, we're going to get 4 points and 2 clean sheets from 2 games, would you have been happy with that?
Yeah, I would have.
Yeah, Mike?
Yeah, hesitantly, yes.
Hesitantly,
yeah.
yes.
I think I'm viewing. I was viewing this run of games as must-wins, but yeah, it could have been much worse, couldn't it?
Yeah, much worse. Ben, would you have been?
You say just to row back a little bit, because I'm looking at my spreadsheet here, and Mike, you predicted 4 points the wrong way round, but yeah, you said we'd beat Brighton and draw against Palace. You got them both wrong.
But the predictor is trying to be think with your head.
Oh my gosh, you're the bastard, aren't you?
Psychological warfare. I see where we're going with that. Anyway, let's take a trip down to the south coast to the home of Brighton and Hove Albion, giving them their full Sunday name.
Yeah, you said it was a really nice place.
The Amex, yeah. I'm just going to chuck this out here for our loyal listeners. Brighton's a shithole, a monumental shithole. The graffiti has got graffiti, which is quite impressive. No, all joking apart, we went into Brighton to collect my tickets. It was a bit of a monumental day, Brighton, and we already discussed with these lads. So I've got to share it because it's quite funny. But so originally, me and my son was going to go to the Arsenal game, but he tested positive for COVID in the morning. Big disappointment, few tears, all that type of stuff.
That was just you.
That was just me. Obviously got some tickets for Brighton, loads of excitement and stuff. Woke up Saturday morning and I'm covered in white stuff. There's like a foot and a half of
cocaine.
I was going to say.
You like,
no, just snow.
Did you have like a Massimo Toledo moment?
Just snow. So there's a foot and a half of snow in Barnsley, so I'm like, brilliant. So shoveling car.
Allegedly.
Shoveling car, and away we sets off to go to Lincoln. So we jumped in car at Lincoln, having got there where there's no snow in Lincoln. Commutes down to the shithole that is Brighton, collects his tickets, goes to the game. You know, everything's kind of rosy. Judd was very lucky enough to get Liam Cooper's match worn shirt, which has absolutely made his life.
Nice.
I've just had to keep it away from my wife before she tries to iron it or wash it or something like that. So it's currently sporting a hanger.
What does it smell of?
Well, actually, surprisingly, when I got it, I thought, it's a bit manky. Because obviously Judd got it and I took it off him and put it in my pocket just so, you know, nobody tried to steal it. And I thought,
I mean, if you're stealing a shirt off how old's Judd? 10?
12.
12, a 12-year-old lad, you're a bit of a prick.
But yeah, but these things happen. Anyway, so I grabbed the shirt, bobbed it in my pocket, and I'm walking back up the steps to leave the Amex. I'm thinking, that's a bit sweaty. So I'll be honest, lads, this is a confession. I took it and gave it a little sniff. And surprisingly, Liam Cooper didn't sweat that much in that second half. Yeah. So anyway, the
It
shirts.
was freezing though. You did say.
Ice in his
Absolutely
veins.
a Baltic. But the funny bit of the story that I'm getting to is we conveniently parked on someone's drive. You can log on a website and borrow a bit of the drive to park on. So we're wandering back to the car, and we've got Dougie with us. And now Dougie's followed Leeds since like the 50s, everywhere, literally all over the world. And he'd been telling us these great stories going down to Brighton about his travels following Leeds and watching him in pre-season with the team and stuff. And as we were wandering back, I spotted this lady trying to do a Yui in a junction, and she basically just mounted the curve and ran Dougie over. So we're wandering behind going, fucking hell, she's hit Dougie. And Dougie's like rubbing his elbow because she just literally like nudged him with car. And then, like, to be fair, these Brighton fans were quite outraged at the fact that she just ran Dougie over. And I went to knock on the window and wound window down, and she's literally sat, steering wheel in one hand, mobile phone in the other, and she went, oh, sorry, I was on the phone. And I was like, yes, you fucking were. Look at poor Dougie, he's got a limp. You know, fuck it, honestly. So, yeah, it was...
But he's all right.
It was a bit of a saga. Dougie's fine. Dougie's fine.
That's why we're laughing
The
about it.
thing that
It's
made it
all
even
right,
funnier was Dougie already had a sling on one arm from a dislocated elbow, and she hit his other arm, so it could have been double slinged, but anyway.
How did that happen? The dislocated elbow.
I'm not sure. I never actually got to the bottom of it, of how his dislocated elbow happened. But anyway, I'll find out.
Is he like a magnet?
I'll find out and feed back if you want.
Is he like Mr. Bump?
He's a great character and a good day out. On to the green stuff then. Onto the pitch.
Do we have to?
Yeah,
do we
do.
even have to talk about
We
it?
do.
'Cause it was crap.
It was poor. I mean, from where I was stood, it was very difficult to actually get a gauge of what were going so wrong. But it was very
Just
obvious.
everything.
It was very obvious by the reaction of a lot of people that things were going wrong. We just did that thing again where we couldn't make 5-yard passes. We couldn't get going. We, for some reason, decided to kick it at a load of small people up front instead of, like, the worst wind you could ever imagine. So we decided to go long.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work. And one thing that did strike me was, obviously, we had a game where Dan James was banging in front of us. And this is not a slant of him, by the way, but his press is not 10% of what Patrick Bamford presses. And I think that that's a big part of our performances, the fact that teams are able to get out a lot easier and play through us. And I thought a few times against Brighton, they made that a bit too easy, being able to play through the middle of us. And then it just felt like it never really were ever going to get going.
I mean, the 5 in midfield, when we've been struggling for presence in midfield, and you're up against a team with 5 in midfield, and a bank of 3 at back, it's like, it was clear to see. I mean, I'm coming around to the thinking that Ben's been saying. Like, I actually kind of rate Graham Potter now.
Yeah, I do. I've always kind of hated him because he won't sell us Ben White. But he seems to be able to have our number a little bit.
Well, I saw Brighton's formation. I thought, I'd love us to play a 3-5-2. I'd love us to do something, just experimental or,
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
But no, of course not.
Never,
of course
never,
not. But
never.
well, not under Bielsa.
No.
But yeah.
Any positives from the game? I thought we defended.
We got a point.
We defended.
That's the positive.
Yeah.
Okay.
We robbed a point.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I mean, it's weird because we did have a couple of chances towards the end of the game. Keeper pulls off a couple saves, 2 with his feet and 1 he puts it onto the post. But they were so wasteful, especially first half. I mean, they had some gilt-edged chances, and the game should have been put to bed. Like, by the time it was the second half. What? Have we lost something? No.
Sorry if I put you off.
Yeah, completely. But yeah, by the time the second half did kick off, we should, they should have been out of sight. Let's face it.
We were actually lucky to be playing them in the run of form, the dipper form that they're in.
The good thing were as well that Morpie, I hate that man, was misfiring, which made it even more satisfying.
Yeah.
He has got a face you wouldn't tire him punching, to be honest.
Chucking lighters at.
Also,
From the south stand.
they got a leg up by Craig Pawson. I know we talked about Craig Pawson before in the Pascal Stroy Harvey Elliott incident.
The Liverpool game.
But genuinely, I was sat a couple of rows back from Carl Harrison, who we had on our old podcast, Ben, if you remember him, ex-rugby player. And I was raging at one point, trying my hardest not to swear a lot because my son were outside me. But it was almost laughable at one point. The decisions he was giving against us were almost laughable. There was one point where Stuart Dallas makes a tackle on Trossard. It's not a foul. Trossard throws himself on the floor, jumps up screaming and shouting, appealing, and they then flag and give it. And you're thinking, hold on a minute, hold on. He booked Firpo for a tackle on Lamptey with the first tackle he makes the entire game. And then down the other end, Trossard does the same to Dallas and there's no booking. It's just so inconsistent and just smacks of, I'm biased.
Well, that inconsistency United. Is something we're seeing game in, game out now.
Like we praised the referees early on, didn't we? That they were letting stuff go and it was a good refereeing performance, but we're back to the point now where if they were doing it the same either way, to be honest, both teams would end up with like 6 men on pitch. But if there were just some level of consistency over the two sides, it'd have been nice.
Because we had that again last night.
Yeah.
You know, that consistency is just not there. And what they're giving against us, they don't give for us. I don't get it.
I don't understand how they can get it wrong. That's the thing. That's the thing that really confuses me. You can always account for human element of getting stuff wrong, and that's where VAR comes in.
Yeah.
But at the minute, the rules are being applied lopsided. Or it feels like it anyway. And I know the few Palace fans after the game last night were ranting and raving, saying that we got all the decisions. Now, it's easy watching it sometimes with Leeds tinted glasses on, but I think that's even stretching. To be fair, to think that they got.
Well, I think the amount of yellow cards as well. It's just, especially in the second half.
6 booked.
Yeah, the second half we were getting all the yellows, and it's just.
But back to Brighton then.
I agree with Raggy. It was a total smash and grab for us. So lucky.
I mean, you look back on it after last night's result, and it's actually a good point.
Yeah,
it is a good point. But coming off it as a Leeds fan, I mean, I know you got back at like 2 o'clock in the morning. 2 o'clock. I watched it on telly.
Did you, mate?
And I was gutted. I felt like that was like 2 hours of my Saturday evening I wasn't going to get back.
I'll be honest.
And I was worried about the performance and everything like that, and the fact that the only positive was we got a point, but we got a point.
The positive for me was just basically Judd getting Liam Cooper's shirt, because I felt like that's one of them things that's like seared into his memory forever. But I'm struggling for positives beyond that, if I'm really honest.
It was one of those, again, that we've had quite a few times this season where we just don't do the things that we've done for the last 3 years. And there's no answer to why we aren't. We were just doing the opposite to what we usually do.
And especially that coming off the Spurs, and I know second half it was different against Spurs, but that was because they played a lot better second half. But that first half against Spurs, you're thinking, all of a sudden, that's kind of like Bielsa ball again. That's when we're good. And then you got the likes of Rodrigo and Rafinha who's come back in for Brighton. He arguably strengthened, and then the performance is crap again. It's almost like akin to, again, another bad performance on the South Coast when we went down to Southampton. That's what it felt like against Brighton. It felt like we just couldn't get anything going at all.
But in the context of playing them last season and them doing the double over us, why doesn't it feel like progress then if we've got a point off them?
Because the performance was so crap. And it shouldn't. We shouldn't have got that point.
Yeah.
I put something on Twitter and there was a few people who is that better? And there was a few people saying, because I said we'd robbed a point, and it was like, oh well, it's about time we did it and everything like that. And I get that. I get this plenty of times, and there's been a few times this season where we've played well and we haven't got all 3 points and we kind of deserve it and everything like that. And I guess that's what football is. Sometimes it's getting over the line even when you're not playing well. But the performance did worry me.
I think a lot of
for the first time this season. I
think a lot of the criticism and a lot of the reactions to a lot of the performances this year are born out of frustration because we know we can play better. And I think Brighton, if you go down there and it's a bit hammer and tongue, they have a go, we have a go, and you come away with a point, you go, fair enough, it's a fair point. But I felt like we didn't really give it a go, and I don't want to disrespect Brighton because they're not a bad side, as much as it pains us to say it, they're not a bad side.
No, exactly.
And
they create a lot of chances.
And Potter is not a bad manager. But the frustration for me and the worry for me this season particularly has been the fact that we don't seem to be hitting the heights that we've hit before. Now, the mitigating factors to that are international breaks, COVID, injuries to key first-team players.
Yeah.
The stop-start nature of the season, I think, is the biggest point of why we've struggled. But I think that's the thing for me. Like yes, it's absolutely a fantastic point. Away at a team where we struggle at the Amex. We've never won at the Amex. 2009 was the last time we beat Brighton when Fabio scored at the Wivdean.
At the Wivdean.
So I think it's
I don't think we've scored there in the last 6 times we've been there, is it?
Probably.
Possibly. Yeah, I don't know.
Have we ever scored?
They're a massive bogey side, and especially away from home.
Did Michael Brown score there once?
Ah, yes, he did. Yeah, that was the last goal.
Yeah.
That we scored there.
That tells you everything. Yeah.
Michael Brown.
So I think that's where the frustration comes from fans. Like it is a good point, but
it didn't feel that Saturday night.
It didn't feel that.
It didn't feel like that Saturday night.
I must admit it didn't.
But it's the more physical side of the game as well. Like you're looking at us and you're wanting us to challenge for the second balls and the 50-50s. We just weren't doing that.
When we're good, we win the second ball.
Yeah.
That's when we're good.
It's the awareness and
for the first 10 minutes against Palace last night, we won everything.
Yeah.
We were at it. We were ratting about.
That's it,
The fans reacted to us ratting about, and we were winning the ball. We didn't ever do that against Brighton. Now, the conditions were particularly poor, but they're particularly poor for both sides as well.
Yeah.
So that's not really an excuse.
And when you look at it, is that to do with being away from home?
Well, we've been better away from home this year than we have.
No, we haven't. No, we haven't. Look,
That were a stat last night on Amazon.
Scum.
We've only lost to Scum and Liverpool at home. Oh, West Ham.
Scum was away. Scum was away.
Yeah,
I'm talking about our away,
West Ham.
our away performances this year.
Yeah.
Right. Scum. Like
Rubbo.
got blitzed.
Yeah.
Burnley. We were poor.
Yeah.
We were.
We were poor. Newcastle. First half brilliant, but second half poor. Ended up. I mean, that's a when you look at the table now, we get 3 points there, and it's you know what I mean. That's a bad result.
Should have
over
got
this
3
game.
points there.
Yeah.
Fulham in the cup.
Laboured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a child side,
I'm going to take that out because Southampton
Shite.
probably the worst of this
The
season.
Yeah.
Arsenal, we weren't too bad.
Had a go at least.
45 minutes FC again, wasn't it?
Cup again.
Norwich, I know we won the game, but that was a poor performance.
Yep.
Spurs again, 45 minutes of good, and then Brighton. So we haven't done well away from home all season. Even the home performances, even the ones where we have got beat, like against Liverpool and West Ham, they've been better. I think we are a very much home side.
Do you get a feeling that we're at it, but if we don't score, we lose confidence? That's the feeling I get.
Then the pressure, it's like a domino effect. The pressure goes backwards.
If Tyler Roberts scores that cross from Stuart Dallas last night inside, 10 minutes, was it, that first chance? 10, 15 minutes? I think you look at a different game. I think Leeds relax a little bit.
But then again, we went ahead at Spurs and, it kind of capitulated. We were 1-0, it's...
I think it's more.
Maybe
more
against
to do with what
Spurs.
Spurs could do second half rather than what we weren't doing. And we were a very patched up side.
Yeah,
we were, and maybe that was a bad time to score. Sort of into half time, it was sort of late on that first half, wasn't it?
Really late, yeah.
And
44 minutes or something, wasn't it?
That kind of kills any momentum from our goal.
Yeah,
they can regroup it and what have you, and they've got.
It's the
players.
thing of like when we score first, we've done a thing where we sit on that one goal, don't we? And that's as damaging.
The 3 league victories this season have all been by 1 goal.
Yeah.
I mean, John Mattison's just made the point actually on Facebook that still things to be positive about. I wouldn't say lots to be positive about, but things that feel like they're going in the right direction. So we take a point against Brighton. We saw Rodrigo and Raf come back. They were granted they weren't really at it, either of them that night, but nobody was. To be fair, then last night against Palace, we saw Raf and Rod again come in. Granted, second half for Rodrigo, but we saw a much better performance from Dan James, particularly second half. He was very effective.
Yeah.
And I thought last night, although at times we rode our luck defensively, we were pretty solid.
Yeah.
Melia weren't having to claw balls out at top bins or out like that. There were a couple of times when we turned possession over, they broke on us quite quick, and it felt a little bit last ditch at times, but it was still good defending. And then we've obviously seen in the 23s this week where Paddy played a full 90 minutes and looked pretty sharp, to be fair. Scored a goal and it was rubbed out for offside, but he old man, some of them young City players who were talented boys, So and Ayling obviously made, I think he did 45 for them. So lots and lots of things to be positive about.
And we do need Bamford back. Let's face it. We have missed him massively.
Yeah,
we have been playing a lot of square pegs in round holes in that striker.
And do you know
position.
something? Against Brighton as well, you guys tell me if you think any different. There were a couple of times in the first half where Jack Harrison got into good areas and sort of held off the ball in the box because simply it had been wasted. There was nobody there.
Yeah.
Like Dan James
Whereas
dropped
Dan
out.
James likes to just blast it in when there's nobody there.
Yeah,
And Jack Harrison dawdles when there's nobody there.
I heard-
And it's like...
But he dawdled when there was people there as well.
Yeah.
I heard Paddy Bamford on the official Leeds podcast saying that when he'd seen Joffrey against Spurs, after the game he'd said, you just need to stay box a bit more. You need to play your game between sticks, as opposed to coming out to try and influence stuff. And I think that's what we're lacking at.
Yeah.
Well, we had that last night with Tyler Roberts.
Yeah, there were times.
He did that a lot, kind of dropping deep and trying to influence things. And sometimes you just need that player
I think
to fucking be a striker because we play lone strikers.
Yeah.
for the sake of like Bielsa likes our players to be able to fulfill multiple roles and be versatile, I think that's damaging now, especially up top. When you've got Rodrigo, Roberts and Dan James all rotating the 9, you know, it's like just pick somebody to do it. Tell them to imitate Bamford, and I think
if there's any frustration of Bielsa, and it is only frustration, and please don't misconstrue me as saying that I'm in the Bielsa out camp, because I'm certainly not. But he's not devout of criticism. We can critique him as fans and go, well, why are we doing that? And I think for the last 2 games, not particularly last night, because Tyler Roberts, you could argue, is a striker. I don't know why he persisted with James against Brighton when we got Joe Gallart sat on bench.
Exactly.
He just might offer you a bit more as a striker. And I think the other criticism as well, slight criticism, is Junior Firpo is coming for a hell of a lot of stick. A lot of it justified from Raggy. And I know Paddy Miller sits on the same side as you, Adam Barlow, people I speak to about football, sit on the similar side. But the lad's been out of football for ages, and we put him in against Tariq Lamptey, who arguably is, a very, very talented lad, and he gets booked within the first 35 seconds. And it's so difficult to recover.
I'm not hanging Jack Harrison out here, but it's a hospital ball within 5 minutes for a. You know when who was it that came in?
What do you mean?
Was it when Cody Drama played? And it was like they helped him through the game a bit.
Didn't give him the ball a few times.
And he helped.
Was that against Norwich? Was it Norwich?
No, it was at Arsenal, Arsenal in the cup.
Second half,
And we kind of helped him by keeping him away from the game a little bit.
Yeah, not putting him under pressure.
Yeah, so you've got, I guess, all right, Firpo's played at Barcelona, Betis, and we paid 15 million or whatever for him. But a player who's quite clearly not, we covered it last week, not got a lot of confidence. And then he gets that hospital ball in 5 minutes. And he had to go for that ball. There was no, if he steps out from that tackle, doesn't go for that tackle, Brighton break.
Do you know something? I would argue as well that Lamptey makes absolute most of it, because
but it's
at the time it didn't look like a booking. It's a foul, absolutely. It's a foul. But Lamptey knows exactly what he's doing. But throw himself around like a knob.
But the other argument is you are going to play against players like Lamptey.
Absolutely. Well,
they are going to do that, and they are going to be quick. And again,
but then so he gets that yellow card, and then he cannot tackle Lamptey for the rest of the game.
Exactly. It's an awful position to be in. And it's certainly awful when you're up against someone as quick as that.
You get, like I said, the best, probably the fastest sort of fullback in the Premier League, probably. Barring Kyle Walker.
But that, like I said, that's on us as a club, the business side of it. Like, we know the sides we're going to be playing week in, week out. We know the quality of right wingers, left wingers. Why are we buying a fullback that we know hasn't played for 2 years?
The thing is, mate, I think, and we're kind of running off on a tangent, but it's worth discussing. I think that the struggles we've had from both first team right through to the 23s all go back to one thing. We didn't do business when we needed to do business. So we limped along at Middle Park until the resurgence of the phoenix that is Adam Forshaw. But like the 23s are suffering now because it's an in and out chop change thing, because they're essentially a finishing school for the first team. So they're getting drastically changed around, and the 45 minutes for this player in and 45 minutes for that player there because they're on bench on Saturday. I fully understand it. But had we, and I don't know the reasons why, and I'm not pointing the blame at anybody, certainly not Victor Orta, certainly not Marcelo Bielsa, but the fact that we tried to sign a central midfielder in 2 windows and failed both times, and then again we suffered for it until Forshaw came back, is a glaring mistake for me. And the fact that we're having to rely on a bench full of children again, you can't account for the amount of injuries we've had. We seem to be, notorious. But you would think for somebody who works his players as hard as he does.
But that's the thing. You can't account for it. But then it's not the first time it's happened. Exactly. Bielsa's first season was an absolute train wreck in terms of injuries. What was it? About 60 individual injuries throughout that season.
We counted them once.
Exactly. Yeah. It was. So it's not like it's completely new. Some of them has happened before, and if you have a small squad and you're relying on kids to step up, not even in the Championship, you're talking about stepping up into the Premier League. It is a bigger gulf, and like you say, I think we have become weaker because of that small squad, because you are more vulnerable to have a spate of injuries to key players, and and you're going to drop points.
Again, let me just be clear. This is not an attack on anybody. It's just an observation. And the thing is, I've seen a lot in the last couple of days about Tyler Roberts, obviously, and we've been critical of him on this show. And I think critical in the right way, and that's where I think it's important that you can be critical of people, decisions, players, stuff like that, because you're fans and that's what you do. But there's a right way of doing it. Now, in the case of Tyler, obviously we've been critical of him when he's come in, but when he steps across that whitewash on a Saturday or whenever, or when he chooses to put him on, he gets support, 100% support. So Marcelo, and the club, I think, have made a mistake not doing business. But that doesn't mean I want rid of him. I think we should get rid of him and rub it out and start again. It's just an observation. Anyway.
And let's face it, and let's talk about, because, like Robert started last night, there was a few raised eyebrows about that. And certainly I'm guessing, I would say, more than 50% of the people who support Leeds United probably would make a different decision. But at the end of the day...
Are we talking about the Welsh Ronaldo here?
At the end of the day, the support he got, certainly inside the ground, was nothing, and he was just another one of those players. There wasn't that grumbling. And I have heard a lot of grumbling about Tyler Roberts. Even in and around the state, not like en masse, but the odd thing.
Odd noise.
And I didn't really hear that last night, and I was expecting that, and we didn't. And from the first minute, and I thought he played one of his better games, to be honest, last night. I'm not saying that Gerrard shouldn't have played in his position, but at the end of the day, he was quite effective, in my opinion. There's certainly criticisms to be had. I've just mentioned one. I don't think his positioning was good. And you mentioned he is a striker. I don't think he is a striker. I think that's his main problem. I don't think he knows what he is, to be perfectly honest. And he has got gaps in his skill set. And until we kind of really understand that and he works on that, I don't think he is going to be an elite player. But again, there were 36,000 there, and they were all rooting for him.
And that's the thing. Like, you can have criticisms of players. You can. It's that much of a personal. Like, my son plays on a Wednesday night, and there's an ex-pro whose son plays in the same team as my son, and we talk about football generically. He's not a Leeds fan. I don't even know who he supports, to be fair. But we talk about football generically, and he has opinion on people, and I have opinion on people, and that's fine. It's just an opinion. And that's kind of where I sit with Tyler Roberts. Last night, let's talk about Tyler Roberts and Palace last night. I thought he had one of his better games, for sure. I can't dispute that.
I can't remember a better game he played in.
I can't dispute that
in the Prem.
But to be ultra critical of him, and it is being ultra critical, because I've got, what did you say it's called, Raggy, again?
It's cognitive dissonance.
Cognitive dissonance, that's the one. I've got that.
Big words, then.
He should score from Dallas's ball in the first half. If he's telling people he's a striker, I want to play through the middle, I'm a striker, which is what we're led to believe he says he is. I think he's done media interviews where he says, I'm a striker. He should score that goal at the Premier League level. Because it's whipped across with enough pace. All he needs to do is get something on it and get it on target, and it's in. But for some reason, he opens his body up and tries to caress it into the corner.
He loves the side foot.
Now, whether that is a confidence thing, which I'm sure probably has an element of it, that his confidence is low, I get that. But if you've got that opportunity to stamp your thing and go, right, Patrick Bamford's on my heels, he's coming back, he's played for 23s, but do you know what? No, I'm having this spot. I'm going to take it. Then you've got to take them chances. And
he takes them chances. He scores against Brighton, he scores against whoever we played last night. It's just gone from the head.
Crystal Palace.
Palace. Then you're thinking, I can't drop him. But now, if Bamford's fit and ready to play on Sunday,
he plays.
Yeah,
he starts.
He walks straight in.
Yeah, he does. And again, let me be clear for anybody who listens back. we all want him to succeed,
Yeah.
because if he's succeeding, Leeds are succeeding.
Precisely,
But you've got to point out what's in front of you, in my opinion. And don't get me wrong, that's my opinion. So we could get Dave, who's playing pool next door, get him in if he's a Leeds fan and say, what's your opinion on Tyler Robertson? He goes, best game he's ever had last night, should play week in, week out. I'm not going to argue with him, that's Dave's opinion, but back your opinion up with facts and tell me why.
Yeah.
He was better, he did better. He still can do better, or still needs to do better if he really wants to be considered as being a Premier League number 9 or number 10. And I do think he suffers a little bit, Rags, with getting moved about and can you play a 10? Oh, players the 9. I do think he suffers a little bit with that. But I also think that he suffered with, he was injured when he came in, Bamford had a resurgence. He's never, ever really managed to get 10, 15 games, a run of games in a settled position to really prove what he's about. And that's probably a failing of the club. But it's a failing of him as well, because he's got to stamp his authority on things when he's fit enough. So anyway, swings and roundabouts. But let's talk about Palace then. First and foremost, who do Amazon think they are sticking a structure in Ellen Road? Who do they think they are? What's wrong with the normal media area?
I don't know whether it's a specific Amazon thing or whether we needed to do that anyway.
Was it to accommodate Clinton Morrison's rascal tash?
Or when I did, so before the Huddersfield game, before COVID, I took my niece for her birthday on a tour around Ellen Road, and they said they're going to have to
Did
put...
you show her the floodlights?
Yeah. Yes. No, they didn't have the floodlights. No, did they have the floodlights then? No, they didn't have the floodlights then.
Sacrilege. Anyway.
This was before we were even promoted.
All right, sorry, mate. Anyway, carry on.
So yeah, but they said if we get to the Premier League, we're going to have to put, because you have to have a certain size of studio with a certain size of window.
Oh, really?
And we could not put that anywhere else, but apart from the space that's in front of the big screen.
Thank God. Karen Kearney weren't in there, because I think South Stand would have given us some shit after her comments relating to Leeds getting promoted.
I don't know who was in the studio.
Clinton Morrison, and
he talks a lot of shit.
To be honest, when half time came, I went and washed up.
He's hard work.
I don't want to. Mike Lowen.
Even better. Even better.
So who had the, was that like a foreign, because there was what do you call it?
A little stand.
There was like a little stand. West.
That might have been
north side of the west stand on the pitch.
Arlo White.
Arlo White.
He's an NCB something.
Oh yeah, that's
Sky Sports. Not Sky Sports. The American.
NBC.
NBC. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Because they had that for the Liverpool game, I think.
It'd be nice though, wouldn't it, for Mike Lowen to see Melia after all them years, and when he saw him in
the academy.
Anyway, should we talk about the game rather than the added-on bits? 8:15 kick-off at odd, but we'll talk about that a bit later on. Lads, there's been a lot said on social media the last couple of days since last night, where we're back. We're going again now. This is good. All this type of stuff. We got 3 points. We deserved the 3 points. That's not in doubt. We started.
There is some doubt. I mean,
I thought it was quite an even game. At times.
My worry was
a draw.
We didn't create enough.
A draw would have been fair. Yeah, I don't think either team really did.
No.
A draw would have been fair, but if there was anyone to win it, it would have been us.
Yeah. And ultimately, we deserve a little bit of the rubber of the green with the way this season's gone with injuries.
A bit of poetic justice.
And the fact that they shithoused the living crap out of time wasting from 60 minutes, the embarrassment.
Oh, before that.
Way before.
Their intentions were to come here and
steal a point.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't understand. Because we were talking about this a little bit before off air, and if you're a Palace fan, and
which you're never going to be,
but you're watching your team shithousing and time
12th in the Premier League.
Yeah,
apparently had one of the best starts.
Yeah.
Away at Leeds, who are struggling, certainly nowhere
relegation
near,
candidates,
exactly.
People have been saying.
And you're there to try and just spoil the thing and time wasting that. Not on a 1-0 lead. 0-0.
I've not
what
watched,
the fuck?
I've not watched Palace this year, but from what I'd heard about him, I expected to see him being this like front foot, quite aggressive, and they just weren't. Even like Zaha looked like he'd lost a yard of pace.
Yeah.
I thought Stuart Dallas pocketed him, to be fair, all night.
And for a goalkeeper and a couple of centre halves who looked very like they did not want to be pressed and did not look comfortable on the ball, they never went long from a goal kick. I think they went long from a goal kick once and constantly tried to play it out from the back. But then when you pressed him,
I didn't like it.
They didn't like it. They didn't want to know, and it was weird.
And the first 10 minutes, we pressed the shit out of them. Calvin was nicking everything in the middle of the park.
The first 15, we were brilliant.
Yeah, we were, But again, that's what I come back to what I said earlier. the fact that we didn't get the goal in the
Yeah.
15 minutes, is that the thing where we start thinking, right, okay,
This ain't happening
this
for
is
us.
not happening for us today.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't-
It's the usual thing of like,
Or is it a case-
20 minutes, isn't it?
Or is it a case that we actually we'll be a bit more conservative?
Yeah,
Is it
we'll just
that?
chill out a bit now.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I was listening to Nigel Martin on BBC Radio Leeds last night before the game started, and he was saying that Leeds have definitely tried to become more conservative this year in the way that they approach the game.
Yeah.
And you wonder if it is like we'll have a go for 15 minutes. If it don't quite work out, we'll relax and we'll get some shape, and then we'll kind of try and be a bit more pragmatic in our approach to the game.
Yeah, they
potentially.
talked a lot last year about sort of a basketball game, and you can't really say any game has been like that.
No, you can't. To be fair, not this year. Leicester. We turned that into a bit of organised chaos for like 20 minutes, where we just literally did what we'd done for years.
West Ham
ran over them. West Ham, yeah.
West
to be
Ham
fair.
was.
Yeah, we made it
Because-
hard for them, didn't
Well, yeah, and that was a bit like that, and we obviously got hit on a break because we were 1-1 against West Ham. We've had a good, we were having a good season. And we were streaming men forward. I mean, we definitely have seen the lack of that since Forshaw's coming in, and maybe that is an influence. Well, actually, having a midfielder in midfield who doesn't want, as soon as he gets the ball, if you are playing. I don't know whether it's a combination of Klisch and Rodrigo or Roberts in there and everything like that. They are very forward-thinking, attack, direct players. Forshaw's not like that at all. He does make runs and things like that, but he's first and foremost is protect the ball.
Let's just look at that a minute. So he's been out for 2 years. His hip was knackered. He had to take teeth out to try and help his recovery. He's just played 90 minutes twice inside 4 days and looked like the best player on the pitch at times in both games. Like, that is nothing short of remarkable.
every
Absolutely fantastic.
game he's played for
Absolutely
us
fantastic.
since he came back,
He's
he's been man of the match.
At the minute, he's undroppable.
Yeah.
And
he's absolutely undroppable.
He's added so much to his game in that before Forshaw came back, how many times did we say it's like we don't have a midfield?
Yeah.
And all you see from him now, he'll drop, he'll come and get the ball, he'll just do a little pass back, and then he'll dart off somewhere else.
Yep.
And he's just darting
He's like
around, moving
it's
stuff
like
around.
a metronome, isn't he?
Yeah.
Just ticking it over, just keeping it
I
going,
wonder-
keeping
Little
the rhythm.
ginger Iniesta.
I wonder if this layoff for so long, and I'm sure at times he probably doubted if he'd ever come back.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's actually made him a better player. I wonder if he's actually looked at the game now and thought, do you know what? I never thought I'd play again. I'm going to make the most of it. Because at the minute, he looks like, he looks ridiculous, to be fair.
Undoubtedly, he is putting in better performances than he's
than he
ever
did
had.
before.
Yeah, definitely.
He looks a goal threat.
And I know he had that
It's mad.
resurgence at one stage where he looked very good, and he was just incredibly unlucky, especially with like chances. And he should have scored a few goals and all that kind of stuff. And he did play well, but this is another level. And remember, this is at Premier League level as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Against some of the world's best midfielders.
He came very close to an England call-up when he was at Borough. I'd be very interested to like sort of match statistics from then to now. I'm not advocating against England call-up. Let me just clear that up. But if you're saying that that's the bar,
I had an argument with someone like that on that last night. There was I think I praised Forshaw, and then someone came and joined in the conversation, and he was saying about Forshaw for England. I don't even know why that comes into anyone's head, because
no.
he's been out for 2 years.
Exactly. I want Forshaw for
He's
Leeds
played
first and foremost.
4 games. Yeah, he's at least got to get to the end of this season. And I'm not wishing he doesn't, but yeah. And there's a lot younger players who are probably going to be a lot better, going to do a lot better things.
Yeah.
Let's just keep Forshaw playing for Leeds and doing what he's doing.
If he carries on putting these performances for the rest of the season, then we will probably win more games than we will lose.
So positives from last night. There was many. Stuart Dallas is back to Stuart Dallas, isn't he?
Fantastic.
But it was incredible last night. For me,
Absolutely
I
fantastic.
know Ali McCoy's gave Rafi on commentary because he was waxing lyrical about Rafi, everything he did. But Stuart Dallas last night was fantastic. He absolutely pocketed Zaha. He looked like a threat going forward. He had a bit of nasty in him. He just everything that you want
He tackled
from
Zaha even though he was laid on the floor.
tackled him with his face. Nearly ripped his shoulder out of socket as a result. But
it's like he's exercised some demons. I think Ben said, like, since he's sort of come out, it's a psychological thing. I think he's just,
Yeah, it came out. He had obviously them issues around COVID.
he's
and
like
his best
got a
friend
yard of
passing
pace
away.
back, and
And he just it's nice to see. To be fair, it's
really
nice
is.
to see him back. Great save by Melier when Benteke kind of wrong foots him, and he's just long enough. He's got one
get
thing going
back
for him.
onto
He's
it,
long enough.
I didn't, because obviously it was the other end to me. I didn't realise how close that was.
Oh mate, watching on telly, I expected a point at watch and it being given, to be honest.
Yeah.
Again, it's obviously a bit further out, but
it didn't look at like you watch that on TV and you're like you're properly crapping yourselves. And from sort of the back of the cop, it were like, all right, well, what's happened there?
Yeah. It was kind of like, it's okay. It's fine. It's fine.
It's not gone in. No one's cheering.
Spider Boy's on it. His distribution's not been great recently, but he's pulled out some important saves in the last 2 games at important times that probably go
There was
under
that really good one at Brighton.
At Brighton, there were a couple of fantastic
I was lucky
saves,
enough to be directly behind the one that he palmed onto the post and then caught it again. And the one he tips over the bar as well. They're incredibly good saves, so fair play to him as well. Right, penalty time. Be honest, it was right in front of you boys, I would imagine, wasn't it? In front of the cop, wasn't it? The ref's penalty. Did you shit your pants when you did that weird stuttery run-up jumping?
I shit my pants from when the referee went penalty.
So first of all, I never see it. Like I don't see it.
No.
See the handball.
No.
There was a
it went that quick.
To be honest, mate, from telly you couldn't see it.
There was a corner about 5 minutes before that, which I was adamant that there was a handball in that, which we were all screaming for. This one, it was only the reactions of the players.
Yeah, Llorente having an absolute fit.
Yeah, that I thought,
full Spanish to ref. Yeah.
I was like, we're not like that, so something's happened. And as soon as we're surrounding the ref and as animated as Llorente is, I'm thinking, there's something in this. Obviously, deep down, as soon as he goes over to the screen, you're going to get it.
You're fuming as a Palace fan.
Now we had the wait for that, because everyone's watching the ref, like, okay, I'm checking it, checking it. And then it's like, he's going to say, like, we'd gone out for a corner, I guess, wouldn't it? Either a corner or a throw-in or whatever it was going to be, or is he going to go to the screen? And then I think as soon as he was at the screen, it was like, everyone knew, and like there were people going, people banging the chairs, like, waiting for it.
So
that's the good side of VAR, I think. When it's going your way like that, it adds that entertainment.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful header from Cooper as well. I'll tell you that it's going in. It's going in.
Basically an assist.
It's going in, that header. Like honest to God, that is the only reason it's given, because it's such a quick, head to arm. I think if it's not going in, it's.
I think it all boils down to that. Guy, he's marking Cooper, and Cooper gets away from him. So he's having to try and do something with his arm, and then for some reason, it's like
so you can't let yourself a foot.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't have your hand above your head.
I don't know if you've seen it back, but he's not even doing that. He's reaching for the ball. His hand is like level with his head, but he's reaching for the ball. It just doesn't make any sense.
If you're going to be pissed off as a Palace fan, to be pissed off at, it's that defender.
Yeah.
Because he's just being an idiot.
But going back to your original point, I was absolutely bricking it.
I couldn't watch it.
Bricking it.
For the first time in a long time, I couldn't watch it. When I saw Raf get it, I didn't feel confident. I even said to Judd, I think he might miss this.
So, who would you have picked to take it on current form?
Well, Rodrigo's took one this year, and
but we were talking about this. So, last minute penalty, which against Wolves, obviously Rodrigo takes it, but Raf's already off at that stage.
True point.
So as soon as Raf, I was thinking this,
and Raf went and picked the ball. That's the first thing he went for. He went for the ball and he was holding it.
And then I saw him, and I think Stuart Dallas was talking to him. So I don't know whether he was just giving him some. I don't know whether Dallas fancied it or.
Don't fucking miss this.
Or whether he was just.
Well, we know why Dallas would get very close to Raf. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah. And then he lines up to it. And I looked at it and I thought at that stage, because my heart was in my mouth and I was really, really, really nervous. And I tried to put my kind of self in his shoes and I thought, well, how would I cope with this?
I wouldn't. Just have a
and I looked at it and the way he was stood and I was like, I'd just fucking leather it. Like, just pick a side and just foot through it.
Yeah.
And then when he runs up and stopped, and the minute he stopped, there's that fantastic clip that someone put on Twitter, and it goes silent.
Yeah.
And I think it's the minute he does that little hop, and everyone was like, and then, let's face it, any penalty that's back in the net is a good penalty because he scores it. But the minute he took that little jump, I thought, fuck.
Have you seen it from the other angle? The funny thing is, Geeta in net. When Raf does that jump, Geeta moves his foot, and his facial expression is like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's too late now. I can't do nothing about it.
Because it's not even in the corner.
No, it's right side of him.
So bad,
No, but is it bad or isn't it bad? That's the thing.
Well,
But,
I mean,
yeah.
I think
It
that's
goes
the
in
whole-
because it's good, but
I think that's the whole idea of that thing is to either wrong foot or kind of
Bamboozle
root
the keeper.
Yeah,
And
root
it
the
works.
keeper to the
Jesus,
spot.
it works.
So then, even if it's not in the corner, he's not because he goes the right way, but it's too late.
Has Raf had his teeth done?
I don't know.
They
no, I was thinking
They
that
are nice teeth.
when he's doing his little dance thing,
They're
they
good teeth,
look
though.
very Turkish, don't they?
Yeah, they are turkey teeth. Yeah. They are some nice
Maybe
teeth.
that's why he was injured after he came back from thingy.
That
That
his pegs done.
his mouth hadn't healed properly.
Maybe.
Had the
maybe so.
Jimmy Carr treatment.
Yeah.
So,
UV light.
another shout out to Junior Firpo. We talked about him a little bit earlier at Brighton, and I know Raggy hates him.
I don't
Wants
rate
him.
him.
Raggy hates him and wants him out. But anyway, he came on and got his customary booking inside 20 seconds.
Yep.
Made a couple of misplaced passes, but then he settled into the game. I thought after that,
He's
And
a
he
great
started to
replacement
look-
for Alioski on
he
that
start-
front.
Yeah, it started to look a bit more comfortable, and it gives encouraging signs. I think Rags.
Yeah, Rags. That's fine.
Cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's the thing.
I mean, he slowed down every attack, but
It's
yeah.
ideal again with
Listen,
Forshaw coming in. We've actually got a midfield. It means our fullbacks can actually attack now,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think that just suits Firpo just so much more.
So after last night's game, we are now 5 points clear of relegation. Whew, thank God for that. And we are also 5 points off sixth.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's a crazy.
I mean, there's lots of games to be played.
We have moved down a space as it stands.
All right.
Southampton are beating Leicester 2-1 at the moment.
Of course, they are.
Yeah.
Season's
But
over.
I don't know whether that's a bad
Bales
thing.
are out again.
What are Leicester doing?
Yeah, I mean,
he's going to get
Season,
bombed.
It is a weird.
Is that-
He's going to get bombed.
I guess, should we move up? Just because there's live games going on now, we've played first. So obviously we're now 16th on 15 points. You've got Everton above us. They're yet to play tonight.
Everton?
Villa yet to play.
Yeah,
15,
Everton
16.
are-
Wow.
But you can go up to like 9th, Brighton, who are on 18th.
Who
So
are losing?
yeah, so we can. We're on the same as Manchester United, and they're going to lose tomorrow.
Not with Raggy Neck in charge.
Ragnarok.
I want to bring him up,
Ragnarok.
actually. I want to bring Raggy Neck up.
Hey, is
How is it that pundits, high-profile pundits, I'm not going to name them, but high-profile pundits, who, when Bielsa come in, go, yeah, but he's never won out. Yeah, but he's never won out. Yeah, but he's never won out. Raggy Neck comes in. He's never won fuck all.
Raggy Neck.
They're on
Can
about
we
him
not
being a
have
great
this
coach.
raggy bit part of it.
Yeah,
Sorry,
can't.
mate.
Yeah.
I don't want to be associated with anything to do with those scum cunts.
Ragnarok. Anyway, let's go back to football.
But anyway, so yeah, is it so? If Southampton beat Leicester now, so Southampton move on to 17 points, so that moves us down. Is that better for us that then if we go win on Sunday?
When we went on Sunday.
Yeah, when we win on Sunday, when we beat Brentford,
Bedford.
yeah, we can then sort of it's clumping everyone together where we can,
Leapfrog.
yeah.
Somebody tweeted me over the weekend and said, you need to stop worrying because them bottom three clubs are going to win fuck all in the next couple of weeks. Now, I
Yeah.
didn't actually look into who they are playing, but it'd be quite interesting. I mean, Burnley look sharp.
I think my mate's a Newcastle fan, and yeah, their December's
trouble.
like really as bad like
Well,
ours.
They're in
I'm
trouble.
well,
December's terrible.
the thing is, we've actually been playing better against better teams, haven't we?
Sure.
Yeah, teams who come and actually want to play,
Yeah.
we've been better against them. So anyway, yeah, that's the interesting side of the table at the moment. Before we move on to other stuff, we need to hear from one of our sponsors, the guys at The Athletic, bringing you all the very best in football writers from up and down the land. Not just football writers, though, there is NFL in there. Big shout out to the
Cincinnati Shy
Blue
Hawks.
Horseshoes.
The blue horseshoe team.
I watched
Yeah,
Red
Blue
Zone.
Horseshoe
I watched
team.
Red Zone on Sunday.
Who were the other team you were?
It were
watching?
Blue Horseshoes against Pirate Men.
Pirate
Pirate
yeah.
Men.
The Pirate Men.
So that
I like the Tony the Tigers as well because they've got nice outfits.
Ton of the Tigers.
Anyway, I'm getting into it. I've decided I'm going to
Oh,
leave
yeah.
the Cleveland
you're
Browns.
definitely getting into
I'm
it.
going to
mate.
be a LA Raiders fan because they've got pirates on the
But
things.
they're the Las
LA
Vegas.
Raiders.
Las Vegas.
Are they the Las
Raiders.
Vegas Raiders?
Yeah.
Yeah. Proper getting into it.
I don't know what that means.
There were LA Raiders a long time ago.
Okay.
Then there were the Oakland Raiders.
Okay.
But now they're the Las Vegas Raiders.
Okay. Anyway,
Wow.
if you want to read about NFL and have the great depth of knowledge like I've got, The Athletic is the place to do that. Loads of good stuff on there. Loads of podcasts. Obviously, the home of the Phil Hay Show. I have to make sure I say that correctly before people accuse me of saying something else. And you can get it with a discount from our very fine selves. If you go to Athletic/Talking Shutt, you can get 50% off an annual subscription, and just in time for Christmas. So if you want to buy your other half or the person in your life who's sport mad a subscription, then that's the way to do it at theathletic.co.uk/Talking Shutt. And there's loads of very, very good articles in there. Phil's been getting on there this week, talking about the January transfer window, talking about times that we need to start getting points on the board, which we subsequently have gone to do. So a big thanks to them at The Athletic. Now, here at Talking Shutt, we like to have our tongue very much firmly placed in our cheek, and we like to take things quite lightheartedly. However, on the weekend against Brighton was the 10-year anniversary of the loss of Gary Speed. On my way down, I pulled up in McDonald's, obviously away day staple. And while Judd were finishing off his Big Mac, I sat and watched the Dan Walker clip that BBC Sport had put out. And I'll be honest, I'd never seen that footage of Gary Speed that day. I don't know whether I had seen it but kind of blocked it out or not ever seen it. And
Might be archived. I think it's behind the scenes. Like
yeah, and it was the first time I ever watched it. And obviously, at the time watching it, if you watched that live, you probably would not suspect anything. But watching it back subsequently, knowing what was to go on and happen, made it quite a poignant video and quite sad, like really sad.
Right,
I mean,
really sad story.
I tweeted out saying, you know, it's incredibly sad to lose anybody to suicide. Anybody, any level, any walk of life, whatever it is. But like Gary Speed stung a little bit more because he was kind of like one of our own. I know that's a phrase that gets used a lot. But not just Leeds fans. He was like one of British football's own, one of Welsh football's own. He was
Premier
like,
League blanket.
Yeah, you
legend,
speak to you listen to like Under the Cosh, who have lots and lots of players on there. Speedo gets a mention in the majority of them as being a consummate pro and all that type of stuff. And it's just really sad.
The fact that he carried on and played to quite a late age.
He was like
in
37.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So at Blades, weren't he, for a bit?
Blades, Bolton,
and like
Newcastle.
carried on playing at the
Newcastle,
highest level for a long time. It showed how much of a consummate professional he was.
He was the record holder for appearances for a bit. Was it 791 or something?
Like that, yeah. So and it was quite. The club did a solid down at Brighton. They dished out some t-shirts, black t-shirts, saying remembering Gary Speed, and then Andy's Man Club on back. I want to choose my words quite carefully because I don't want this to sound like preachy and stuff like that. But what I'd say is I've had my own experiences with sort of mental health stuff, and I've been quite open with it on Twitter, and that can sometimes be construed that you're after attention and all that type of stuff. And I just want to like put on record that's far from the truth. What I discovered through my own little battle was that I didn't want to talk about it because of the stigma surrounding it with men. So I'm a man, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a breadwinner, all that type of stuff. So I didn't feel like I should be able to feel shit. So I didn't talk about it for ages. But what I did discover is that when I eventually did open up, which initially was to my wife, and then eventually through a professional and all that type of stuff, that actually talking just helped. And actually that stigma that I believed existed didn't exist to an extent.
Yeah.
And that people are a bit more receptive to it now than they ever have been. So if you break your leg, you get a pot on, people go, oh, you done to your leg, and you go, broke my leg, and they go, oh, that's terrible. But because you can't see mental illness, you start to harbour that sort of feeling kind of thing. And it's a really difficult one. And like I said, I don't want this to sound preachy because, some people feel like they're having it rammed down the neck. But what I'd say is if you're in that dark place and you're feeling that, and as well, mental health isn't just one specific feeling per one individual. It's different for different people.
We all have.
Or at different times.
We all have mental health. And you're at a different level of that mental health in any way, shape or form. And everything influences that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can be very low or you can be very high. And obviously lots of things happen with that. And it's when you have those low periods or someone within your sphere of influence is having those low periods that you kind of need to pick it up. And nobody should be worried about bringing it to the fore because you find that the vast majority of people have either experienced it themselves or experienced a loved one or a friend who's gone through something similar and they've supported them through it. And like I say, the vast majority of people will support you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, and so it should be because it will help.
I think the take-home message from the four of us here is that if you are struggling, just speak out. Whether it's to your mates, whether it's to you'll be surprised by their reaction. My first person I spoke to, I found it really hard with my wife because I had this image in my head of what she sees me as, and I didn't want to show signs of weakness. In the end, I just said, look, I'm really struggling here. And I was surprised by the reaction to an extent.
You will be, yeah.
I went and got counselling, which was an interesting experience in itself, but that's a different story for a different
And also, not so much to go with, just speaking to someone can help that sort of, like, just like the problem shared is a problem sort of thing.
You'll be amazed at how much you actually let out once you start talking. You know.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, as well, with that, there is science behind that.
Yeah, it's like a sense of letting it go.
I always remember, we've run off on a tangent, but that's what we do. I always remember coming out of counselling, every time I'm feeling tired.
Yeah. It's mentally draining.
It mentally drains you, weird. Anyway, so.
But that's just one more point as well. The thing that's poignant as well, like, you may think like, oh, well, I'm not suffering enough to warrant, am I just making a fuss of myself or whatever? Listen, Gary Speed was a legendary footballer, loads of money in the bank, beautiful wife and kids, good-looking guy, absolute legend, adored by millions, and it still happened,
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter about your circumstances. Only you know how you're feeling, and like we're saying, you just gotta get it out. Whether it's a professional or a mate.
Absolutely, and we never like getting too serious on this show, but at certain times needs to be discussed. And I felt
out of respect for...
I felt like this was one of them. Also, on a personal note, if you follow me on Twitter and you need a chat, drop me a DM. I always leave them open on that obvious reason. Anyway, moving on. Somebody who has been boiling the piss of many people this week has been Angus Kinnear with his programme notes from last night. Originally, I got the programme notes up and I was going to read them out, but they are quite lengthy. Have you read them, lads?
I have.
What's your thoughts on it, Rags? What do you think?
It's a difficult one. I think he's lost a lot of the emphasis and the kind of maybe the power of what he was trying to get across with probably a misguided and crass analogy, with kind of comparing football finance with a famine that like cost millions of lives. Yeah. So that's wrong. And I bet he's kind of sat there thinking, I've kind of shit the bed on that part.
I've dropped the ball here.
Yeah. And I hope he does. And to be fair, he dishes it out with his programme notes.
Yeah.
And often he dishes out in the right sort of things. Hopefully, maybe on Sunday, he'll kind of row back on that a little bit and be a bit reticent about that. And I hope he does. Some of the points he makes are fair. I think some of the points he makes kind of do look a bit hypocritical, to be honest, from the position that Leeds were in a couple of seasons ago when he was chief executive, when he was on this podcast and he was talking about the pressures of being in the EFL, the fact that the football pyramid is heavily skewed towards the Premier League.
But in as much as it's hypocritical, can't you say that what is he supposed to do when go back 2 years when we're in the Championship? Are we supposed to then say, well, we're not going to spend over his means or whatever? I mean, we didn't do FFP-wise, mainly because we went up, and COVID kind of skews that a bit.
So Karen Kearney was right?
Well, no.
No, okay, sorry.
But I guess in the Championship, you're always playing catch-up.
Yep.
Because you've got those that come down that have all the parachute payments. They've had hundreds of millions from the Premier League. I mean, you look at where Norwich are, they've been up and down for the last few years, and you compare their bank balances to your Barnsleys, your Lutons and whatever. It's a different sort of ball game.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they're the kind of teams that are just happy to be in the Championship, but you look at the likes of Reading, who have failed and been like 200% of their turnover on wages and stuff like that, because everyone's trying to match where they can get to, like to the top to be in the Premier League. But even so, just matching that and to compete and to be that's just how the Championship is. So is it hypocritical to say that, or is it just being in the Championship and being in that environment? You have to be like that.
Yeah,
it's easy to look at accounts and say, well, you've lost over this year. I mean, for a bit, we were losing 500,000, 1 million or whatever. When we tried to be sort of, We try to be sort of self-sustainable and what have you. And that's never going to happen because you cannot attract.
Yeah.
But that's not what he's saying now. It's almost like he's pulling the ladder up. Well, we're all right. We're in the Premier League. We're not going to sort out this issue because there is an issue. There is an issue in the football pyramid. And let's face it doesn't matter.
But how do you solve? But that goes. How do you solve that issue?
Absolutely. And you're right. And there isn't a quick fix. Football needs almost like a reset.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen. But his comments, they were jarring in a lot of respects, to be honest, because I didn't think of it of him. I didn't think of this ownership structure that we have at the club. It didn't strike me as one of these clubs who, we've experienced it, we've gone through it. The Championship football finances in the EFL are far from perfect. FFP doesn't make sense. It's this arbitrary figure and all this kind of stuff. I get that, and he rallied against that, and he came on this podcast and said that. But just because we escaped it and got into the Premier League, it doesn't solve that issue.
No,
that issue is still there, and the Crouch Report has basically said this. Now, it might not be the right thing, and usually throwing money from where it is, where money is prevalent to where it's not, doesn't actually work. But he's not saying that at all. The comments kind of was a bit like, well, we don't want to be regulated. Regulation doesn't work. Well, it's going to have to work because we need the football pyramid.
I sort of took it as well as
the Premier League doesn't survive without it.
Yeah.
And we really need to sort that out. And every year, the discrepancy between, or the gulf between the finances of the Premier League and everybody else gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And something has to change. But his comments were against that. And I thought, whoa, are we really going to say that? 1.5 seasons into the Premier League?
Yeah.
I can totally see that point. Yeah. That's very much sort of, in a way, tempting fate that, I mean, we could still end up back there this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We ain't safe yet.
And I guess on the other side of that, with the regulation, I can sort of see a point in that who's going to be the regulators, because you can have regulators for everything that, and we go back to the referees this year. At the beginning of the season, they were great and everything, and now the big teams are getting the calls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What's to stop that happening with the regulator?
And that's how football and a lot of sports are. That if you have a friend of and government and everything, if you have a friend of a friend or whatever who can have the ear of someone,
that was.
Then it's not independent regulation.
Yeah. It'll never happen anyway, because if it does happen, then that's the Premier League and the FA admitting that they can't self-regulate.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's such a.
I think one of the biggest points
you can't have, and I'll go this for everything, especially governments and stuff like that. You can't have regulation because the only regulation is money.
Yeah,
that's the only thing that does count.
Yeah.
And as we saw with the whole thing with Newcastle with the Saudis, they have the money. And maybe that's how they ended up getting in. But the people who didn't want them to are the people at the top of the league who have the money.
Yeah.
Because everyone else, every other club would like that kind of money.
Self-serving, in it, really. But the point I took was, the one point I did agree with, and it was probably one point, was that
we'd have still wasted the money on Pavel Sabicki.
Yeah, that was a bit of a dig. But the point that he made, that regulation-wise, we don't need some civil servant who may have the ear of like some country that have massive financial influence, and he'll turn a blind eye and let them buy a Premier League football club. Basically, is one bit I took from it.
No, and like I say, he makes some really valid points, and regulation is a very thing. I mean, we have to be hyper kind of critical about all those kind of things. Absolutely, I get that. But the throwaway comment about Chabitsky, it's what we were talking about with the Super League as well. Throwing money at a problem, it will always end up in the.
It'll eat itself.
It will just end up in the bank balances of the players. It always does, and we've seen it. We have seen champions
or agents, and other people like that.
And that's why it means there's no. The problem is we've let football in this country get to this point.
Yeah.
And there isn't probably a way back.
No.
Without being radical.
Yeah.
But will people want that? And will the money men at the very top of the Premier League ever let that happen? Probably not.
No, because it then takes away everything that the Premier League has sort of become. It is the best league because it can attract the best players, apparently. Even though a lot of the best players, I'd say, play elsewhere. It's sort of in itself that high. It holds itself that high because of the money.
Yeah.
Because of the money, it can attract on sort of incomes and television streams and stuff like that. Yeah, it's not going anywhere but continuing where it is.
Yeah. Well, the most recent thing would be the agent fees. Like, that has just come out of nowhere and skyrocketed. You know, working as a sort of commission basis, it's like.
Well, the perfect example of that was sort of look last year and the stuff that Mino Raiola's saying.
I was going to say about
of Erling Haaland, that he wants this much and I want this much, and
30 million for him.
Alfie Haaland wants 50 million and whatever. All in the middle of a global pandemic where no club has got fans going to it, and stuff like that. But still, someone like that can then claim that their player wants that much money.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Even the self-regulation, it's all reactionary because there's new loopholes coming in. Like, there's so much more to contract negotiation now. And I think when you're talking about attracting players, the agent fees thing is a much bigger thing now.
Yeah.
And there was the whole thing with like super agents and Man City's dodgy dealings. But,
allegedly.
Well, yeah, you can say like
it's found to be true, wasn't it?
For certain players, and you hear stories of like a player was going to sign for here, and then their agent got a thing. He's got a manager at somewhere else, and he ended up going there.
Yeah,
and it's all the same thing.
Harvey Barnes, West Brom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just on the Pavel Sabicki thing, I know that he has
I miss him, Chipstick. Where is it?
Singled out Pavel Sabicki there. And I guess that's harsh in a way because you could have had 10 other names on that.
Yeah.
But as well,
we went through those transfers last week, didn't we?
Yeah. As a club, and I guess the main one of this, like we talked about last week with Jean-Kevin Augustin, you put that investment into a player and they're saying all the right things.
Yeah.
And then I guess there's a lot of circumstances that could happen, but their players don't turn out to be what they are promising and stuff like that. Granted, you've got your scouts and stuff like that, they look a good player, but they've got to take some responsibility on that as well, I think.
To be fair, we can add Chipstick to players we destroyed. He basically left Leeds, went to Mulder on loan, then Elfsborg on loan, then Den Haag on loan, and now he plays in the Polish second division. Interesting.
It's Szczecin.
Interestingly, he started as a Polish international, then ended up being a Swedish international, and now he's playing back in Poland. Very interesting. Anyway, moving on to slightly other news. We had, one of the podcasts, who I'll let you work it out, played a game of Through the Keyhole with none other than Big Lee Nicholson, pitchside reporter at Ellen Road and matchday announcer. He came to weigh up the moving of this individual and didn't twig that it was a shrine to Marcelo Bielsa and there was a microphone left on the side in a full through the keyhole style. Didn't the rag?
Yeah. And I just want to rest assured, I didn't know it was Lee Nicholson coming.
No.
I wasn't there. My girlfriend was in. And she phoned me up afterwards just to let me know how it had gone and everything. And he said, the guy really liked your Marcelo Bielsa prints in the stairway. And I was like, all right. He said, and then I said, well, actually, because Becca came to the game last night. It was her first ever Leeds United game.
Get in, Becca.
She's an absolute convert now.
Yes.
A 93rd minute winner.
Not from that oval togger ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Round
stuff, yeah. Rugby. What's rugby?
For a South African.
Yeah, exactly. And she said, it's my first game. And he went, well, my other job is I'm the pitchside announcer at Ellen Road, and I'll give you a shout out, which he never did, so he lied.
Calling him out.
So
Lee is a liar.
I went, what?
Yeah.
I went, is his name Lee? And she went, yeah. I went, But yeah, we follow each other on Twitter, obviously. So I found him a DM, and I was like, "Small world, I believe you've been kind of like." And he went, "Bloody hell!" He said, "I didn't put two and two together." He said, "I even saw a bloody microphone and nearly said, is one of you a podcaster?" So Lee was in my house.
Big shout out to Lee, great lad, Lee,
Yeah,
lovely. Right, moving on and starting
Give us a good
talking
quote, Lee.
about foosball again. Brentford this coming weekend, Brentford, the old enemy. We've had a couple of tussles with them over the years. I hate Thomas
The
Franks.
rivalry. I can't wait. There'll be a Sky Sports advert.
There definitely is no rivalry at all. But they've had a bit of an indifferent start. They set off like an house on fire, got some decent results early on in the season. They've since tailed off a little, and they, despite beating Everton, who look in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting battered 2-0 by Liverpool right now, apparently.
So they're in trouble. In the derby, that'll not do well for him. But recent results for them, 1-0 win against...
Could do with a couple more goals to Liverpool there, then we might move back up to 15th.
Come on, Liverpool.
That felt dirty, didn't it?
Yeah, did I feel sick? A win against Everton, 3-3 draw against Newcastle, which is no sort of yardstick of anything. A 2-1 loss to Norwich, again, no yardstick of anything. A 3-1 loss to the snow-loving, shirt-wearing Sean Dyche's Burnley. 2-1 win against Stoke in the EFL Cup. A defeat to Leicester. A defeat to Chelsea. A victory against West Ham. A 3-3 with Brentford. And sort of after the West Ham is where the wheels kind of fell off a little bit. Obviously, return of Pontus Jansson. Is his legs on? Is he even alive?
He'll pull a sickie, won't he? He'll pull a sickie.
He'll be late against Ordins.
There's been another... I was...
Clickbaiter. I saw it myself, another clickbait article.
Yeah,
Pontus says...
is the biggest club ever or he's ever been at or something like that, which...
Yeah, we know.
Well, obviously.
We know.
Yeah, it's... I think if you're a Brentford fan and it comes to the week before playing Leeds and every week it gets wheeled out, Pontus Jansson's licking our ass, you'd be a bit annoyed, wouldn't you?
Again,
but I think they like him that much that I don't know.
Did Ivan Toney score on the weekend for them?
Probably.
Because he's just quite a goal drought, hasn't he? Recently, old Tony.
Didn't they get a penalty?
It was a penalty, yeah.
Against Everton.
A game, if we're being serious now about pulling away from that relegation spot, a game we should really be winning against.
And let's face it, with the December that we have,
we need points.
We could do with it.
Yeah. 3 points on Sunday kind of sets us nice. I guess other teams could get points and sort of bring us back down, but with how the table is, it moves us up to sort of mid-table. Yeah. So Brighton and Leicester are on 18 right now. So that's where we'd be. And they're both losing. It kind of sort of puts us... Obviously, we're going to a lot of hard games. We can go with no fear, really. See where we end up.
Yeah, that's how we need to be approaching these games now. Is
the funny thing about Brentford, just looking at the form here, that Ben just turned off to so about to talk about it, is Done it again. Did it twice, mate. Brentford is 1 win in 5. Leeds is 1 defeat in 5.
I don't listen to that anymore.
That's
since Southampton,
though, isn't it? Yeah,
Southampton without a win all season, and then they get 1-0 against us.
Yeah, they've kind of turned the corner though, Southampton, since beating us.
Yeah,
it's a yardstick of everybody. So
we get an extra 2 days on Brentford recovery wise.
Brentford.
They play Tottenham tomorrow.
So obviously we've got them this coming weekend.
Away, they've got the long trip to White Hart Lane.
Oh, good. That's good as well.
That's the thing, actually. A lot of these games at the moment seem to be sort of quite close-ish. And then we've got, Palace come to us. I just think it's a bit weird.
Yeah, it is a bit strange. Long journeys midweek, isn't it?
Watford, Chelsea, Everton, Liverpool. I guess Villa City is probably quite...
So the burning question I've got in my mind at the moment is, Patrick Bamford got through 90 minutes for the 23s. He's had sort of another week-ish to sort of recover. Does he start against Brentford this coming
I think
Sunday?
If he's going to get a run of games together now, that's ideal. Either half an hour, come on 60th minute, just get him back in the senior side before the December run of games, that we're all sort of dreading but excited about.
Raggy, does Paddy come back in? I said, Paddy, does Raggy come back in? Wrong,
Yes.
wrong person.
I'll take the number 9
Well, he's
shirt.
going for it,
Yeah, I'll go for it.
What would your style of play be, Regs, then?
Gasping, wheezing.
Target man.
Yeah.
Kick you whatever way you're facing.
Getting absolutely nowhere and the ball just bouncing off me.
Oh, yeah. Fair one.
About right?
Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah.
That'll do.
I'll give it me all, though.
Yeah, of course you would, yeah.
And that was just when you used to play net.
Exactly.
So looking forward to Brentford this coming weekend then. We've got to be confident of a positive result, lads, haven't we? Or at least a positive performance with a positive result.
Yeah, you've got to take that momentum in and build on it.
A roaring Ellen Road again, you would
Yes.
imagine.
Yeah.
So yeah, shall we get some reflection on the predictions that have just gone and the upcoming game?
Let's do it.
Raggy's predictor.
I also discovered this weekend that a lot of people fast forward this bit.
Yeah, so I'm just like
see you in
screaming
a-
into the void.
So see you in a
here,
couple of
like, no.
minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Go on, Rags.
It was a double game week last week. Nobody picked up points against Brighton because we were all very confident of a Leeds victory at the Amex. Don't know why. Last night's games, we all went for a Leeds United victory apart from Mike the Bastard.
The bastard strikes again.
Yeah, and it kind of worked not in his favour because he went for a 2-2 draw. So
It's about time he got railed in from his dodgy dealings.
Absolutely. So no one went for the 1-0. So that means the scores on the doors are now. I have pulled level with Mike at the top. We are both on 13. Then it's Ben on 10 and Gary on 8.
Beautiful.
We have one game to predict. It is Brentford. It is the weekend.
And it's live.
Raggy Tyler.
Sunday, Super Sunday. It is on. Is it on Sky?
Yeah. No, it's not.
It's one of those 2 o'clock Sundays without
2
being
o'clock,
Sky.
no TV coverage. Wankers.
Seeing as I'm in the lead now, I'll go first. Joint lead. I'm going 2-0. Leeds United. Mike.
I can see them scoring. 3-1 Leeds.
Ben.
I'm going to stick with, apart from the Scum and Liverpool, and was Southampton 2-0?
Well, we lost
Against
1-0.
us.
Yeah.
1-0.
We're at 1-0.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all right. I'm going to stick with the 1 goal difference and just go 1-0 Leeds.
Interestingly, looking at all our fixtures this year, because I couldn't really remember, we've not scored 3 goals all season in the same game.
Crew.
It don't count.
First time for everything.
Don't count. They had UC Escalante and Son in net, who were about 4'3". Don't count. Was it on me?
Yes.
I'm going for a 2-1 Leeds victory.
2-1. So we all think Leeds win. Excellent.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, no TV coverage. Moving on then to hear from another one of our.
Watford have equalised against Chelsea.
Have they? 1-1.
I don't under. Can we just talk about Chelsea?
Yeah. I thought we were going to talk about Watford.
Well, Watford as well, but Chelsea. I mean, how did they not win on Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was just
Probably because they've got Timo Werner up front.
Yeah. Who? I was just saw another clickbait thing earlier. Ralph Ragnick.
Raggy's neck.
Raggy's neck. Ralph Raggy's neck. He's apparently made a deal to sign Timo Werner for Manchester United.
Wow.
Could this be a Fernando Torres in reverse?
What are they doing?
Torres left Liverpool scoring absolute bagful, went to Chelsea.
No, I just don't think he can play in England.
Couldn't hit a barn door with pellet gun and they went the other way around.
Yeah, I just don't think he can play in England.
Do you reckon Chelsea are making a loss on that deal?
Yes.
Yes, a rather large one. Moving on then to hear from one of our other sponsors. Now, we at the podcast every now and again we like to bring some inside information, some down low stuff from our sources, and we can confirm this week that we know the real reason why Stuart Dallas grabbed Raf's balls after he scored the penalty last night, and the reason being is this. They were in the changing rooms last week and they could hear some low-pitched humming coming from the showers. And as Stuart Dallas walked in, out popped Raf, sporting a lawnmower 4.0 Manscapped knacker trimmer.
Allegedly.
With the shiniest big knackers you've ever seen in your life. Stewie
Size of a
Dallas.
ball.
Stewie Dallas, in a Northern Irish accent, went, "Fucking hell, Raf. They're smooth."
You've balled it.
You balled it. You balled it.
Fucking hell, Raf.
What Australian then?
Australian.
That was some great bollocks there, man. Fucking hell, there was a great ball there. There's a snake in my boot.
So, what we've discovered there is that
Stuart from Dallas.
Stuart Dallas is from Dallas and is also from Somerset as well, which is kind of strange. But anyway, back to the point in question. So anyway, Raf comes wandering out of this lawnmower 4.0 and goes, yes, Stuart. Not only are they massive and perfect for taking penalties, however, look how smooth they are, like eggs. And you too can have smooth balls like eggs if you go to Manscapped.com.
We're going to have to do a thing of like, Rafina does not actually sponsor Manscaped.
So, just as a side note, this is all totally made up, and we've not got this from anybody. Rafina does not have
any affiliation.
Balls. He may have, I don't know, but he's not affiliated.
I think he does, because the way Stuart Dallas went to cup his balls last night, and he wanted another field, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a bit aggressive, wasn't it? A bit aggressive.
What Stu needed to do was just be a bit nicer.
Yeah.
Whereas he just tried to grab him.
Yeah. You get more.
Speaking from experience,
It was a bit of an angry grab, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You just ask nicely.
If
You
you
can hold
ask
them.
nicely, you can
hold them if you want.
hold
It's
more
fine.
balls when you're aggressive.
And they'll be nice and smooth.
And they'll be smooth, yeah. So anyway, Christmas
Only
is
if you
coming
use
up.
shaving shut.
If you want naked knackers like Raf, supposedly, and you want to be able to feel naked knackers like Stewie Dallas, then get yourself over to manscaped.com. And if you go to checkout on your Weed Whacker Lawnmower 4.0 gift pack, you can get 20% off plus free shipping if you use the code word SHAVINGSHUTT. Proper top class stuff. We've all got one. I keep shaving my head with mine, which annoys me, missus, to no end, because I do it in the shower in the morning because it's waterproof and it's got an LED light.
So, is she annoyed because you're shaving your head and not your balls?
I will answer that with one phrase. Marriage, 18 years. She only cares about the head anymore. Shave my head in the shower.
Wow.
Yep.
Someone's doing all right then?
That would be my head where my nose is attached to and my eyes, not any other head. Anyway, get yourself over to Manscaped, and a big thanks to them. Let's get off this subject now before I end up getting divorced. Moving on
Give me
then
that
to
shovel.
it's in Booter Car from Snow Weekend. Moving on then to another one of our favourite segments, and it's a bumper edition this week. The shithouse of the week segment that Ben's going to play in a minute, and I'm trying to fill time, and he hasn't done it yet, but he'll do it in a minute, and he's going to do it now.
Shithouse of the week.
So we've run over quite quick, so we're going to get into these pretty quick. Shouts to the week nominations this week. Pundits for creating a rhetoric around Calvin, and Marcelo Bielsa having a fallout, which Calvin royally sorted out last night and said it's
I don't even know where it came from.
Jamie Redknapp and Dan Mills.
Yeah.
It's just fucking...
Amongst a few of us.
What are they on about?
I don't know.
I mean, there's the whole thing the week before with when it said, what about playing centre-back? And Calvin said, I don't know. Obviously, he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
Because he marked one of the best strikers in the world out of the game.
Yeah.
And then, last week, he didn't have the best of games and he got hooked.
Yeah.
Which has happened before. It'll happen again.
Yeah.
Word to yourself.
So everyone that were carrying on and being knobs, just chill out.
Yeah. I feel for Beckford having to sit next to him, listening to that waffle.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Beckford didn't say out, to be honest, but it's by the by.
It says. Next nomination is Craig Pawson, just for his refereeing display and the fact that he hates Leeds United. Next nomination is kind of jokey, kind of fine. Sean Dyche for calling out the press on a ridiculous question about him wearing a shirt in the snow when he was out for approximately 14 seconds.
But it kind of goes on from the Calvin thing, doesn't it? That why are the press asking if a guy is wearing a shirt or a short sleeve shirt or whatever he's wearing? Why can't they do the job and ask him about why Burnley are a shit fucking hoofball team?
Yeah.
Well, do something
Because
decent.
journalists have got no bottle, and if you do stuff like that, you don't get invited to the nice press events.
As a side note, we don't include Phil Popey and other Leeds
Graham
United
Smith
related legends in that. Joe Urquhart.
But we've also tied that in with the whole snow debacle.
Yeah.
And I guess this is maybe a bit hypocritical, as we've just talked about Calvin and the Twitter rumours and stuff like this. But there was a very sort of, I don't know, the story that it's sort of been made so Burnley could call the game off. Because they had a few players out. They didn't do a lot to clear the snow. They didn't put any sheets out, not like that. and it kind of helped Burnley, but it also helped Tottenham in that they now get to rest until Thursday to play whoever Tottenham played. Brentford.
But this is the thing again about the Premier League self-regulating and going, well, if you can't facilitate and put the match on, then you should be punished.
The funny thing,
you know what I mean?
The good thing that came out of all this was Charlie Taylor got in front of the press again.
He just got,
He didn't come across great. He put that face on that like your grandma used to buy you something shit and you wanted to look like you actually wanted it. But you didn't. That's kind of the face he pulled. So yeah.
But then there's the other side of the snow thing that, and I guess it got missed when the game was called. I was like watching Twitter and stuff like that. A lot of the times, games getting called off aren't because of the snow on the pitch.
It's about
it's safety around. I mean, Burnley's bad enough to sort of go around anyway.
Well, it's mountainous for a start, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's
it's one of them shitty hill towns like.
So
Huddersfield,
that's in
Halifax, and that. But just other side of.
8:15 kickoffs. We've all been there in there as well. Who decided that?
I don't even understand it.
Ridiculous.
I guess it must have been so you could watch a first half of one game. I mean, if you want to watch a half of football, you want to watch the second. Really, if you've got a choice, you want to see who wins.
Yeah, it's for all the half Newcastle, half Leeds fans out there. Yeah, they want to cater to. Fuck knows, man. Ridiculous.
Brighton pitch announcer. Now, this one's a little bit more of a serious one. So when I was down at Brighton at the weekend, they gave an announcement as to why Leeds and Brighton were wearing black armbands, sporting Speed 11 on them.
Just to interrupt, we're back up to 15.
Beautiful. And the pitch announcer said, the players will be wearing black armbands to honour 15 years since the passing of Gary Speed, while the Jumbotron in the background saw a big graphic that said 10 years since Gary Speed passed away. I just thought, that's wank. I'm sure you're getting paid a couple £100 to be a pitch announcer, and to get that wrong is both disrespectful and wank.
Yeah.
So do
your own work.
Be better. Yes.
Be better. Yeah.
So lads, who are we going to give it to? Pundits for creating this rhetoric around Calvin. Craig Pawson. Ben's pretty keen on the snow. I feel the snow.
No, I just wanted to rant about it.
Yeah, fair one. Kick offs at 8:15 and the Brighton pitch announcer. Who are we getting it to?
I think a rhetoric around Calvin because it was just pathetic.
Yeah, I'd go.
And I'm including everyone in that. Everyone that got involved in it, even Leeds fans.
Yeah. Because any little nugget like that, then it goes to TalkSport and it goes to Sky, and it's just
this is football.
Yeah.
There was no
grounds to it.
No.
Just absolute tripe.
It's kind of what's wrong with society to a point, isn't it? Where we don't know the full details. We'll just make it up and then pass it off as being real.
Because if we win that game, there's nothing said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just because it's just gutter snipe.
So anyway, we'll have that. So the rhetoric around Calvin created by some certain pundits. Congratulations, your shit house of the week.
Or the minge.
We
forgot.
Yeah. So Rags, would you like to give us your professional opinion on what your opinion on Wilfred Zaha is?
He's a minge.
Yeah.
He is a minge. Okay, that's what he is.
Yeah.
So,
He's a whinging minge. That's it.
Wow.
That's it.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
A manscaped shaven minge is.
He's not good enough for Manscaped.
Anyway, let's move on. We've got some good news. We've got some big news. We've been asked about it recently, a fair few times actually. I've had a few tweets asking about it. It's back. It's back for this year. The Talking Shutt Christmas quiz with extra spiders.
Don't come if
Camel
you're an
spiders.
arachnophobe.
Yeah.
If you're not into spiders, do not come. No, so this year, again, after the great success of last year, where, let me just give you an idea.
Great success.
Great success.
It was good to tell the spiders to cover.
To be fair,
Yeah, it was a good laugh, yeah.
Yeah, so after the great success, Mike, of last year, we've brought back the annual Christmas quiz now, where we will be doing it via Zoom or whatever. The reason we're doing it via Zoom is you can enjoy it in the luxury of your own home, and we can also enjoy it in the luxury of our own home and have a beer at the same time.
Yeah.
And technologically, it's easier to do it that way. So, 22nd of December, book it in your diaries. I think it's like 2 weeks on Wednesday or whatever. We're going to get the Kahoot app kicking over again. I'll write the questions as I did. There'll be no spiders in it. And we'll just have a bit of bants. We'll get pissed on the internet. Everything will be funny. And we'll have some gifts to give away as well. Some stuff from the terrace. Hopefully a knacker trimmer, as used by Rafinha. And some other stuff that we can cobble together. So yeah, come and join us for that. Good bants and totally free of charge. Yeah, we'll go for that.
Maybe some prizes.
Maybe some prizes if we can, cobble them get there.
Have to get on to Drew Vuvuzela.
Yeah, get on to Drew Vuvu. On about prizes, that segues us lovely over to our bloke who's decided to turn up this week, Mike the Bastard. Mike, what's going down at the Terrace at the moment, pal? In the preparation for Christmas, they did some big Black Friday stuff.
Yeah.
It was very busy Black Friday, I would imagine. So what's new at the Terrace, bud?
Yeah, I mean, we've just been pushing Christmas products. I mean, what can you say? It's everything you could ever wish for. If you're a football fan, you like your merchandise. Got licensed and unofficial stuff. But yeah, we've been pushing mugs, Christmas jumpers. It's been just busy, really.
For our last podcast before Christmas, are you wearing a Terrace Christmas jumper?
I'll get them to send me a Christmas jumper. Which one? There's a David Batty one. There's Merry Clitchmas. They're actually, I will say this.
Very pun.
You can quote me on this. The Terrace Leeds Christmas jumpers are better than the ones in the Leeds shops.
Controversial. But I agree, probably.
Oh,
I have the
100%.
Marcelo Bielsa one from last
You've got
year.
about
The price. I mean, again, the thing about the Terrace is about making football merchandise accessible to fans, and you might look at the Terrace and think, oh, it's a bit dear. Go into an officially licensed club shop and the prices are double. You're looking at 40 quid for a Christmas jumper. I was like 20, 23 quid. And there's always offers on as well, and we do monthly competitions, and I'm there 9 to 5 plugging away on the socials.
Working 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Making mugs and stuff.
T-shirts and
T-shirts.
coasters.
Yes, like
Yeah.
it. We miss it. Literally.
You're too easily impressed.
Yeah, so go check out the Terrace at theterracestore.com. Loads of good stuff on there. And I'm going to buy myself some little trees for my Christmas tree. Some Leeds United related ones.
I've got a couple of them.
I'm going to buy a Gary Speed one. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
That's my little thing there.
I've just got myself a Lucas Radaby mug and a Gary Speed mug.
Nice.
That was my little Christmas thing. Spending my wages
on
back
the
in-
people who pay the
Yeah.
wages. Brilliant. That brings us to an end of episode 171. We've got a great name for this one, Ben. You're the Portuguese speaker on the podcast. What is the name of this
I don't speak
episode?
Portuguese.
No, but you are now.
Okay.
What's the name? What's the name of this podcast?
Grandes Bolas.
Yeah, which means
Huge balls.
That was made up as fuck.
Such a Yorkshire accent as well.
Grandes Bolas.
That's what it was like when I went to Spain.
Excuse me, mate. Do you know how to get to Grandes Bolas?
Yeah.
I think it's a big balls. What am I?
Me going around Barcelona.
Just ask nicely. We've established this. Just ask nicely. Gary said, just ask nicely. You'll get
Me
the big
going around
box.
Barcelona asking for a toilet and in a broad Yorkshire accent.
Brilliant.
In
Love
Spanish.
it. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Brilliant.
Anyway, big thanks to everybody who's tuned in. Bit thin on the ground this week, and the old live watchers, but we don't mind.
There's a lot of football going on.
We're here
isn't
for the people. If you're listening back to this on a podcast or any podcast provider, please share it, like it. Don't forget, if you're on Facebook, go over and join the All Leeds Aren't We Facebook group. We get pinned on there with the help of Jay. Big thanks to him.
If you're on YouTube, give the thumbs up.
Yes, we're very close to that 1,000
Subscribe as well, yeah.
subscribers. So yeah, please.
If you're not subscribed, just go subscribe to his YouTube.
Yeah.
We don't bother you that much like others, but
No, we don't. To be fair, we don't really bother many people. To be
No.
And the important takeaway from this episode is, if you are struggling, speak out. Somebody will always listen to you. There's loads of good organisations out there as well who will support you.
or just your mates.
Or just your mates, yeah. I mean, when I've had Mongift drops, which are quite often, as we just get spammed by a load of porn bots again in the comments, feels almost
Love it.
poetic. I've always moaned at these lot, and they always tell me to shut the fuck up, and that's fine. So anyway, as good as that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Episode 171 in the can. We will see you next week. Same time, same place. Don't forget, you can come down to Ossett and have a beer with us if you want, with the other people that are here.
Might be struggling for a seat.
Yeah, come down early.
We've had to be
Yeah.
moved
It's
into
a bit-
this
it's a
bar
bit
just
like
to
Billy's
accommodate
bar.
all the
all the people.
If the gates are closed like this week, just wait outside.
Yeah, we'll be there in a bit. Yeah. So that brings us to an end. Big thanks to the sponsors, Terrace, Manscapped, and The Athletic. And one thing I did mention, I saw the dynamic duo on Saturday on my way down to Brighton. Not Batman and Robin. Not another dynamic duo. I can't remember. Philly and Adam Pope together, travelling to the game together.
Nice.
It was almost
Did you like wave at me, car?
No, I was in the service. I just get some cash out and they can walk in. I had a little bit of a chat and then that was it. I paid about 93 quid for a steak bake from services, but I'm not bitter about it. Anyway, that's
should have waited a couple of days and got a festive bake.
I know, day after I think festive bakes came out. I missed it anyway. Anyway, big thanks to everybody who tuned in. Much love, and I'll see you there.
See you there.
So,
See you later.